What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Cardfight Cash. I'm your host, the Doombringer Griffin, and this is Team Absolution's weekly market watch covering the really nothingness of the secondary market, surprisingly enough. I'm joined with my guest, the Sixth Ranger, the mystery man of Team Absolution himself. I'm talking about Andrew. How you doing, Andrew?
Yes, hello. This time you cannot see my face as opposed to damage check.
Yeah, I bet you wish we could have kept that there for a little longer, huh? How are you supposed to be the mystery man if we all know who you are?
Yeah, well, someone's got to top tournaments, right?
You're not wrong. It certainly won't be Jose. Yeah, we'll see what happens when Standard comes out. He has his Royals at full strength. Please no. All right, well, we have a lovely topic for you folks today. Let's see. It's been a couple weeks since we last did this show, and in that time, a lot has happened. We've had 2 whole damage checks covering the format changes and all of that. And let me tell you, I expected stuff to go absolutely nuts. I mean, I of course am the guy who says don't panic. You know, the market will always be as it is, and cards will always have their value whether they're usable or not. And while they might not have as much value as they once did, hopefully you've been following this show's advice and picking up your cards on the cheap, and you really didn't lose that much in the switch from G-Era to Premium. And plus, G-Era will be online until October anyway, and so you've got plenty of time to use your investment and kind of, you know, feel that the sunk costs have taken effect, and you've gotten your money's worth just by playing the cards, having fun, and hanging out with this great community. So, like I said, I expected stuff to go nuts, but really, not that much happened. Not a whole lot's changed. We still, like I said, have plenty of G-Era, and your investments have held pretty solid. Nothing out of the ordinary. Andrew, have you noticed anything just by roaming around TCG Player looking for those good deals? Have you seen anything that's been like ridiculously good?
No. Honestly, things have been going up. There's a lot of anticipation that Standard might not be as overpowered as everyone thinks it might be, and so premium cards are probably going to keep holding their value for a while until they get formally power crept out of the meta.
Now, wouldn't that just be bad if Standard came out and was like the cards themselves just weren't that good? Now, I was excited. I was actually hoping for a new main deck mechanic to kind of strengthen the main deck and we wouldn't leave the strides behind, kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Didn't leave Synchros behind when they switched to Xyz, or Xyz behind when they switched to Lynx. I was hoping for something that would strengthen the deck overall, make the game a little more complex, a little more interesting, and we got that, but not in the way we hoped for, because now the whole main deck has changed. You're going to be getting a new, interesting, and somewhat powerful cards, especially considering the Imaginary Gift Grade 3s. So I'm excited to see what that has in store. But wouldn't that just be bad if Standard was like, here's this underpowered set 1 crap that you don't want?
I don't know. I could see it being like Premium being the busted format, seeing how people can mess things up, and then Standard just being sort of like a reset of the power lines, right? Because I think Magic did that a while back, where they just sort of brought Standard back in line with what they wanted the power level to be, and people complained for a while, and then it just got back to normal.
Things got a little bit cheaper, a little bit more accessible, and then they went the opposite direction and got very expensive because Magic doesn't do very well at that sort of thing.
They really don't.
Yeah, card games aren't a very cheap hobby. If you want that, God, play Force of Will or Buddy Fight.
Go get a yo-yo.
Go get a yo-yo. Ooh, that's funny. All right, well, let's get this show on the road. You know, the first topic is quick hits. These are the overall market trends. And really, the only trends that we found are that everything RRR or GR in set 14 is under $10. It is the cheapest set we have seen in a very long time. By far. And we knew it was going to be that way just because of the absolute demand and the second print run automatically and the Gize packs and, you know, everybody opening this set. And it's just cheap. There's no way around it. I mean, that's the trend, but I can't say it's surprising. Can you, Andrew?
No, not really. Like I said, before the set even released, we all knew that all the value was going to get concentrated in the ZRs. But honestly, I'm a little surprised that the ZR prices aren't even that high anymore.
They're really in line. I mean, I was looking at them, and Dust is a solid 80. Even in the Gize pack, I mean, Gize himself is $25-ish. He keeps falling lower and lower because people just, the hype is gone for him. Like, if you still want to play a Gize deck now after the announcement, why? It's still too expensive. Megiddo is a solid 60. That's our second quick hit right there.
Is he actually still 60?
Megiddo is a solid. He is exactly $60.
Wow, I thought
His
he would have
current low
dropped even
is.
more after Moegido announcement, but
I thought so too, but honestly, he had spiked there for a while. I mean, he was like absolutely bought out. He was up there like 92 for a second there, but I mean, there are 15 prices on TCG right now, and like the first one has 10 copies on the low price. So people ended up with way too many of this card to get rid of at that price. I think people got really really excited. Now the prices are coming down. Zoe is the cheapest ZR at 50, and just some of the other ones like even SCR Drachma's gotten down to around 90 or 85. So a little more reasonable. I don't know why that one's so high, just because people need it, I guess, for
there's
Nubatama
6
and
dragon
Kagura.
plans, that's why.
Yeah, that's really the only reason. But in any case, yeah, the ZRs are still plenty expensive. They're holding their value, and Gize is just, it's too much. It's way too expensive for not to be the best deck in the format.
Hmm.
But in any case, yep, that's set 14 right there. It's cheap. If you still haven't gotten your Nubatama stuff, buy it. It's a decent time to buy into Nubatama, so long as you don't need everything that came before set 14, because that stuff is gone.
Yeah, it makes it real sad that none of my decks are supported in 14. I was sad about that to begin with, but now that the prices are so low, I'm real sad.
Yep. Didn't get a chance to play into the most powerful set and also the cheapest set. What a world, huh? What a note for Vanguard to go out on.
That'll be Bermuda's.
You're not wrong. Let's talk about Bermuda's, because really Bermuda's have been pretty stable. It's been like a steady climb for the viable stuff. But actually, one card that's coming off the buyout is Legendary Idol Riviere. So Andrew, you were the first to tell us about how fun that deck was gonna be. How like absolutely smashing it could, you could make it and do some ridiculous stuff. That I was like, value, hello.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's the hype has subsided.
I tried the deck. It's not good.
So market price is $9.52, but the current low is $8. No one's buying this card, and the mid is $14.50. It just got its 5th copy, or its 5th listing, which takes it out of my buyout territory. I consider buyouts to be 4 or less listings on TCG Player, and the price will probably only drop lower. It might hold here, but it might get down to like $6. If you still want to play the deck, more power to you. But in my opinion, it's Andrew's professional opinion is no. And of course, the card that we've been watching, one card that Vin, when he was on 2 weeks ago, told us to watch out for was Chocho Headliner Lapria. And even he was a little bit late on that because the card had already climbed to 25. It's now definitely bought out, and it's definitely $37.
Yeah, I picked mine up for 20. I'm real happy about that pickup. So, sorry I was a little late on the informant there.
Not a problem, but like I said, you weren't the guest that week. Current market is 25, so this card is definitely bought out, and best of luck to you if you still need this card. But we're going to talk quite a bit about Bermuda Triangle, its economy over the years, like just how it's been, what trends we've seen. But of course, it's also the last set in G era. What can we expect, So let's just move on to that. We've got a double topic. It's the economy of Bermuda and the end of G era. And Andrew, just give us a quick summary of like how Bermuda Triangle has been through the years, economy-wise.
Right. So economy-wise, how do we put this? So back when I first started buying into Bermuda, which was the very first EBO2 when it got released, even before EBO1, the economy followed pretty similarly to a standard extra booster at the time. Triple Rs were worth $20 to $30. Double Rs were 10 to 20, depending on which ones they were, etc., etc. There were only 2 Triple Rs in a pack. I remember selling an SP Pacifica to a store one day for $50, and the very next day they listed it in their little glass window for $40 on sale, and I was very happy about that. That didn't really change much until we got to G era, and obviously in G era, that's when everything changed, because that's when the Leg Nation attacked. So Bermuda Triangle became the cheapest set to invest in, because first off, obviously only Bermuda Triangle could be found in the clan booster, so you were never getting like wasted slots. And second off, everybody buying the set was buying it chasing expensive SPs, right, for alternate artworks. And so all the base staple cards, as soon as the set released, always were incredibly cheap. Like, you were talking triple Rs for like, $5, $10, $12 on release, and they'd only drop from there. But the ironic thing is that after that, because all the people buying Bermuda Triangle for artwork are collectors, there doesn't tend to be a lot of resale. because all of the really cheap cards got sold like super early off, and then about a year later, you see a massive demand spike when the next set comes out, and people are like, "Oh, we need all this really old support that is now completely out of print, and nobody is selling because they're just like they bought their SPs and trashed the regular version." So so surprisingly, it's a sort of cyclical thing where Bermuda Triangle old cards spike at the start, whereas the new set is completely cheap, and then over time, the new set slowly drops in value over the year. The old stuff keeps going up because there's no stock of it, and then as soon as the new support is announced, the newest old set suddenly spikes in value as people are like, "Oh, we need all these old cards that we forgot to go buy in this last year," as the prices are going down, and then there's a mad rush on prices. So that's actually what we're seeing right now with the new support announced. People are like, "Oh, we need Social Lapria. Oh, we need Corals. Oh, we need like everything from this previous set," and they're just getting bought out left and right.
No kidding. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. Is everything is just getting bought out or slowly creeping up in value just because, for whatever reason, people didn't have it. In my opinion, like I don't feel like there are a lot of new Bermuda Triangle players. Like, at least from the small sample size that I've seen, I've never met someone who says, I think I want to buy into Bermuda Triangle this time, and hasn't bought into every previous Bermuda Triangle set that there ever was.
Yes. I think Bermuda Triangle is definitely a sort of
Core audience?
Core network of players, and if you don't buy them on release, then you'll find them for cheap. But if you try to buy them a year later, it's not going to work.
You are a sad panda, my friend. So, with that being said, what happens in this specific instance where all of this stuff, which looks really cool, I mean, we're getting some of the coolest cards Vanguard's ever seen, we're breaking the rules, we're bending what's possible, and it's all in this one set just because Bushi wants Giera to go out with a bang. How does that work this time?
So I thought a bit about this, actually. It completely depends on whether Q4 is balanced or utterly, utterly broken, right? So hear me out on this, right? If Q4 is balanced, that means that premium decks are strong, like premium decks including cards from Q4 and the sets that come after it. They're strong, but not like completely meta obliterating. Like if top tier G era decks right now can at least partially compete with new standard premium decks, then the premium meta is going to see a big shakeup because the Bermuda cards coming out right now are really janky and really freaking strong, right?
Right.
Like some of the most busted cards we've ever seen printed in G are coming out in this Bermuda set.
6 Sentinels and G cards that get stronger off your 6 Sentinels.
Right? Like how about running 8 cards that you call G Guardians and a G Guardian that resets itself? Oh.
Yay! I live forever.
Right? So it's really dumb, the sort of power-ups that they gave. But so if that happens, the Bermuda might be one of the biggest contenders in premium meta, and then their prices are going to stay up is the interesting thing because Bushi gave Bermuda Triangle incredibly strong cards this time around. What I suspect is that the 4 clans that are getting support in Q4 are going to be the meta-defining sets in premium, because imaginary gifts seem really strong right now. And if that happens, Bermuda's not going anywhere. It'll be the exact same pattern as before.
Yeah, wouldn't that... So, the fact that Bushiroad chooses to end GR on Bermuda, and Bermuda will almost certainly get more support at the same time next year, but following the imaginary gift train, wouldn't that just be something Bushiroad would do? Which is make Bermuda really strong just so it can hang on through the next year of G-Era and premium support. And yet the new support isn't good enough to unseat it until the second year's cycle. And Bermuda gets to be a strong clan just because standard stuff isn't that great when compared to the stuff we already have.
I don't see that happening. Bushiroad has never done that in the past. 0% chance, I'd say. Unless they severely messed up their Q&A testing, I think that Bermuda's going to be I think standard is going to usurp pretty much all of the current G-Era decks.
In some ways it has to, but it would be so strange just to like really pull out all the stops and then stop, right? I mean, what is there? I mean, they're going to support G-Era through October to make sure that we get plenty of time to continue playing our cards and make sure that the market just doesn't fall out and people quit the game because that's bad for business. But premium can, only works as long as standard cards come out. And so, or we're going to get more like a reversal of fortune almost, where there are a few clans that have been recently supported that are also getting support immediately. Them being Kagero, Nova Grappler to some extent,
Aquaforce soon.
Shadow Paladins ish. I mean, Shadow Paladins.
Spike Brothers.
Spike Brothers got support a long time ago. So
Dust make them an actual deck.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but they didn't get any new cards. But in any case, Standard, if the cards for some reason like aren't that great, then the market is happy about that, and premium and prices spike for premium cards. But what does that mean for the game going forward? You know?
Yeah, I think Bushi definitely needs to do the power creep thing, because it's just not as interesting if like you buy a standard deck and then you try to take to granted you don't expect to do well in a premium tournament, but if you just get clobbered by decks that aren't even running standard cards, that's just not very, that doesn't feel very good.
I mean, I guess in some ways the fact that the rule changes to standard make those decks just better, and by rule changes I mean like the way that cards are formatted. Like front triggers are dumb, heal triggers healing for 20k are dumb, that sort of thing. Like the fact that standard decks will just have those things, even if like, let's say Dragonic Overlord, the Santa Claus, because he gives me gifts, is a meh card. Well, do I care? If I'm gonna stride on him anyway, and he gives me 10k power on a circle, and I want to go into the ace, I can do that, and then go into the Destiny next turn and not care.
Yeah, and still have your increased trigger powers too for defense.
I kind of wish there was more mystery to this, but the fact that Bushiroad really has just power creeped several mechanics and cards that other premium decks aren't going to have for a really long time. It's just those decks are going to be good just because, without even looking at the card text.
Yeah, just like numerically wise, they're straight up better, right?
Right.
And so if you just have access to them, your premium deck, even if you don't run the new grade 3s or anything, just run a standard premium deck with just new triggers, already puts you at a pretty significant advantage.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. 15k defensive trigger seems nice.
Definitely. And as long as you're not running GB8s, I can just, use my heal triggers like G-Guards now.
Oh, but Denial Griffin is so good.
It is so good, but it's so worthless now.
Yeah, but is it worth 20k shield? Now you have the choice.
Mm-hmm. Kind of wonder how much Denial Griffin is, considering all this resist stuff and Kagero being forced out of the meta.
$10, right?
Yeah, let's see what we're working with here. Wow, exactly $10 is the lowest price lightly played.
All right.
Ew. Bad.
Coral, the grade 2 Coral is worth more than Denial Griffin now.
Holy crap. Why? Why even?
Rye-chain Coral.
Yes, that. So, Bermuda. Is it... Okay. Considering that Standard will almost certainly bring in new and overpowered things to make their respective premium decks better. By that I mean Kagero, the premium deck will be a lot stronger because it has standard cards. Mm-hmm. What does that mean for Bermuda when they're not going to see support for a year, and yet they've got some of the most ridiculous stuff available at the moment? Do you think... Okay, we speculate a lot about what Bushi thinks and how their R&D works and what kind of QA testing they do. Do you think that the ability to just kind of have a pseudo-protect mechanic, having extra PGs, having more ways to get G-Guards, having better and reusable G-Guards so that you don't essentially run out of defensive mechanics ever, do you think that's their way of helping them to contend with these new standard cards they're about to just chuck at us?
I had a thought about this, is that, I don't think they're intended for Bermuda to be able to keep up with premium standard is the thing. I think it's just they're sort of go out with a bang and then they're going to get power crept in the next meta. Because this is something that Bushiroad has always done, right? They've given Bermuda some interesting stuff, and then they immediately power creep into the next set. This is a pretty standard cycle, and no one really expects otherwise that plays Bermuda. I was actually pretty cynical about this. I was like, yeah, it kind of makes sense that Bushi would end on Bermuda, because they know that G-era cards getting crept out in standard is the most likely scenario I see. But people that play Bermuda are going to buy the Bermuda set anyway. That's just evil. It'll still sell well.
That's just unfortunate. This is just the best business decision, but it just sucks for the player base and for you to know that Bushi really only wants me to have my crown SPs and be on my way.
Pretty much. But hey, they gave us Moe Guido, so that's where all the value in the case is gonna go.
That
So
is
the cards
true.
will be very cheap. I'm assuming. The perfect card might be a bit much because you have to run 6 of her, but everything else should be cheap.
Yeah, definitely get your perfect guards when you can. Gosh, I don't even know when the set releases. I feel like it's
27th of April.
27th of April. Wow, they actually gave us a break for once? No way. I don't believe it. Yeah, what was up with that whole release schedule thing where they just threw like 4 sets in a row at us, and then it's like, now you get to wait a month, 2 months. You get to wait 2 months for your cards.
They wanted to distract us from the fact that standard was coming soon. So they're just like, buy all of it now, buy all of it now, buy all of it now. Oh, look, they're all worthless now.
By the way, standard, yeah. Enjoy your set 14 investments. Hope you bought the singles, boys. So, we have an entirely new market to look at. This is interesting. G era is ending with Bermuda, and while Bermuda boys are certainly sad, what does that mean for the market going forward? And of course, it just depends on what kind of format premium is. I mean, we can do nothing but speculate because we've seen exactly no new cards outside of like the very few like here's some art, I guess.
We might know more on the stream that's coming up soon. Because Bushiroad's doing a spoiler stream and all the Bermuda cards are gone, so.
Yep, then it must be the new stuff. That would be
Unless they're showing nothing but commons.
oh on a spoiler. Have they ever done nothing but commons on a spoiler stream before?
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, if it's a stream, like they've got to bring out at least one big gun. Like they've got to show us Blaster Blade and Dragonic Overlord at least. You know,
It'll just be Dragonic Waterfall.
I'm okay with that. I love Dragonic Waterfall. It's one of my favorite cards. I love that deck. Way back when it was my fun Kagero deck for a while when Kagero wasn't good.
Right, way back before Dote came out.
Oh yeah, way back then when we were in Break Ride meta before, Limit Break meta.
Yeah, sad times.
Oh, the worst, my friend. That wacky format.
I was playing Angel Feather back then. You don't need to tell me.
I played Angel Feather too. But in any case, so now we get to check not only like the new cards that come out and follow those cards and how they'll operate in standard, but now cards have so many reasons to be expensive. Premium standard is going to be a thing for probably as long as the game goes on. And while it might look relatively similar to standard for, a decent while, or what I mean to say is after a while, won't premium be more like standard? I mean, there's never a reason not to run strides unless that mechanic gets power crept, and I can't imagine that happening. And now cards are just going to get older and older. So really, it's all about staying ahead of the game. And that's why we do shows like this, to make sure that you guys can stay ahead of the game and have what you need to before things go out. Do you think there needs to be, like, people need to be stockpiling things for the eventuality that eventually you just can't get good premium cards anymore? And unless Bushiroad straight up changes the format and says, okay, premium's no longer supported, what do we do when we're a year out and people need Winning Champ Victor and the card's $75 and we have some straight up magic prices for old stuff? What are people to do then? Should people prepare now and just like, if they plan to be in this game 2 or 3 more years, or what do you think, Andrew?
Let me speak from the perspective of a Bermuda Triangle player. Stockpile every single card you think might eventually see play in the future. Now, if you don't have the money for this, obviously you can't do this. Bermuda Triangle cards are cheap, but you can't. I don't think there's any way to predict what's going to be like exceptionally good, right? You can only sort of try to future-proof by finding cards that are really techy and sort of easily abusable if Bushiroad designs something really stupid in the future. Like if you play Pale Moon, the Dancing Princess of the Night Sky, like you look at that card and you think, okay, this is a really easily abusable combo piece. If something really stupid comes out in the future, which it did, and as such, the price skyrocketed in the past couple of weeks for just like this old common card from short printed BTO7, or is a rare actually. So
all the way to $99.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Big FU to the secondary market right there.
But I think that this really encourages quote unquote clan loyalty, right? If you really like a clan, you should go ahead and stockpile all of their relevant strides and G guards now, I think. That way in the future, when you get busted support, because it is a when, not an if. I think there hasn't been a single clan in the game that hasn't gotten busted support at some point. So if you want to take advantage of that when your time comes, you need to stockpile your stuff now. If you're a flavor of the month kind of player,
You're
well,
gonna
you
have a
gotta
rough
open your
time
wallet for that.
if you want to play premium. You can do that in standard, probably no problem. I don't
Yes.
foresee the prices being that high just because you need less cards, and
Standard
they're
would be great for it, yes.
yeah. So you'll have a great time. In premium though, God, what happens when you need like an old double R from a set that just no longer exists from like a fighters collection? Like remember when, uh, God, what's that great demon? The one that bestows a mon effects to your whole
Demagogue.
yeah demagogue. What happens when you need that card and you can't find it and the price jumps up to 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 just because some guys got it and way back when, you know? Like what happens to cards then when you
You
just
either
need that card for a deck suddenly?
Yeah, unfortunately, this isn't Magic where there's a lot of stock of old cards. This is Vanguard where cards lounge in shoeboxes for decades before getting thrown out in the trash someday. So you can't rely on ever seeing that card reliably, I guess. You can wait a little while and like post on Facebook and other trade groups looking for like, oh, I'm looking for this card. Can you see if you can find it? Um, but in general, if the card is out of print and it's from like a fighter's collection, you have to be you have to understand that you're probably going to have to start. You're going to either have to pay top dollar, or you're going to have to wait until it rotates out from being flavor of the month again, and then the prices will drop eventually.
So it seems to me that besides being a if so I think you're absolutely right, Andrew. I think clan loyalty is the way to go here. Pick your one, maybe two, maybe three, maybe more premium clans. I wouldn't don't go more than like four. What how are you going to afford this?
Yeah.
And buy every card of even a little bit relevance, and I would say probably pick up a couple copies of the irrelevant ones too, just because you will never see those cards again in a year. And if you do, or if you need them for whatever reason, when the time comes that you need Mystery Freeze and Crossover Dragon and you can't find them anymore, ever, that card's gonna be $50 and you're gonna have to pay for this crappy card you never thought you used. So buy it while it's $1, I guess. It feels like pick your loyalty clans and buy four of everything that ever was.
That's pretty much how I do Bermudas. I've got this nice little binder full of nothing but triples and doubles and single R foils that I've just filled with 4 copies of Bermuda Triangle cards.
Because when you want to play premium a year and a half from now, and you don't have that one card that you need, or God forbid, 4 copies of a stride you never thought you'd use, or this or that, or you don't have a complete stride zone because Seabreeze and all your G guards are worthless for whatever reason, it's going to pay to just have those cards on hand. And as much as I don't want to have 4 Gilderays or 4 Novell Vagues or anything, it's probably Novell Express. It's probably a good idea to just get those things anyway before the worst happens to you, and that's what we're here to prevent.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we're gonna start wrapping up our show. Andrew, anything else you want to warn the audience about going into this new format?
Yeah, I think the point about clan loyalty you bring up is probably if any of you listeners play Magic, right? Modern format is not a format that you can keep up with sort of multiple decks unless you're very rich, because each deck is something like $300 to $400, right? And that's similar to clan loyalty because you have your archetypes in Magic, like you have Storm, Infect, Combo, Blue Moon, whatever, right? But you're not going to have multiple different decks that you can sort of switch between. Instead, you're going to have one archetype, and you're going to add cards to it as they get released in newer sets and hope that it becomes flavor of the month, because very few people that play Modern or Legacy will keep up with multiple decks. They will choose 1 or 2 and update it with new cards as they get new support through each standard cycle, or like trade their entire deck for a completely different deck. And that might be the way that premium standard ends up going here, is that you trade your entire premium standard deck for some other premium standard deck and maybe pay the difference if it happens to be flavor of the month now. So I think clan loyalty is definitely the way to go. That's about all I've got for this next upcoming premium standard era.
Yep, that seems to be the way. Just buy 4 of everything in the clans that you need and hope that that investment pays off for you. You might get to sell those cards, you might get to trade them for something else and make yourself a little bit of money in terms of value. But really, if you want to play that clan, you know you want to play that clan, and when standard rolls around and it's somehow it's become the meta, and you know this is your time, I hope you've made your investment, and I hope it was worth it to you. So that's been Cardfight Cash. This has been Doombringer Griffin and the Sixth Ranger Andrew. Andrew, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Keep cash only. We'll see you next week. Peace.